Hello, everyone. This is Tom, your host for the Hidden Truths channel. It's been a couple days since I did a live. I guess I'm a little rusty. Anyway, I hope everybody's enjoying their Sunday evening. Tonight's channel now, it's not Democrat or Republican. They're politicians, okay? Wings of the same bird. They don't need an RD beside their name. They're all in cahoots together. Remember, Hillary said Trump's coming around to her way of thinking. All right? Crazy times. But we're going to discuss what Tim Kaine had to say about how the government grants us our rights and they don't protect our rights, our God-given rights. They don't protect them the more they grant us rights. So anyway, that's what we're going to be discussing tonight. Interesting, huh? Anyway, everybody enjoyed their NFL football today? Everybody have a good old time? Watching those flaming non-men or men cheerleaders? Liking that? Okay. Boy, well, what happens if you're a guy who's looking at the cheerleaders and the guy next to you goes, yeah, doesn't he look real nice? That'd be kind of scary, huh? The NFL, they're going to be lucky if they have 5 or 6 more years left in it. They're cooking their company, their business so bad, and there'll be somebody else to fill the vacuum. But the people that take the place of the NFL aren't going to be kneeling, are going to have one national anthem. Okay, there's 2 national anthem stuff is bullshit. I mean, why stop at 2? If we got a white one, that's our national anthem's a white one, and then we got a black one because they need a black one. What about all the other races, colors that are in the NFL? Maybe we need just to have 10 hours, an hour of national anthems, because we have this guy who wants to be pink. I mean, we can go down to what color you want to be and start all these national anthems. Anyway, NFL toast. Okay, let's talk about the subject. Martin, how's it going tonight? Let's talk about Tim Kaine's ridiculous statements saying that government grants us our rights, okay? Okay, number 1, the government protects our God-given rights so we can exercise it. The government doesn't grant them. I mean, how can you have these politicians in charge of our government when they don't even know the rules of the game? But remember when Hillary Clinton and the Democrats were saying that children are property of the state? What parent thinks that? I don't think so. I mean, even if your kid's a total screw-off, he's still not property of the state. So, Neon, hi, how's it going? Appreciate you being here tonight. But these Democrats, like I say, no, these politicians, excuse me, they're not Democrat or Republican. They're all politicians trying to screw us over. And the thing is, Tim Kaine, Lindsey Graham, and all you beta male pieces of shit, you're beta male. Now we got the military in the streets. Can anybody see how all this is coming together? You know, I said you got the military, what we got them in D.C. now, and the person that wrote me a comment saying that the troops are only going to be there for 30 days, and I said, I don't think so. Guess I was right. They're extended now to what, December in D.C., which will be forever. And now they're in Chicago and Baltimore. They're going to get all the people, people are going to get pissed off enough that all these divisions that the politicians have created between the people are going to disappear. They're going to disappear. People are going to see who the real enemy is, and they're coming at us. Okay, like I say on my channel, mega Republicans have lost their minds over me. I voted for Trump. Feel like I got kicked in the gut, lied to, and everything else. If I would have known, if he would have said, yeah, I'm going to put troops in the street, and the list don't exist, and I'm going to keep putting us in debt up to our eyeballs. Hey, Jeff, how's it going? Got the big blue wrench here. Appreciate you being here, Jeff. But I tell you what, YouTube. I had Amanda in here the other night, finally, and she said she'd been trying to get in for quite a while, but every time she goes on the video, it kicks her out of it and stuff. And I tell you what, they've put the brakes on my channel big time. I guess I must be speaking too much truth, or people want to hear it. Okay, this is the thing. Rights are granted to us by the government. You know what that's going to do to the First Amendment? You aren't going to be allowed to criticize government at all. At all. And that means if, my freedom of speech, if they don't like what I have to say, they can take away. The government says, well, we're going to suspend your First Amendment rights. I mean, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Does anybody, I'm a Gen Xer. Does anybody remember their civics teacher or American history teacher teaching them that type of shit? These are all supposed to be constitutional lawyers. They went to college 8 to 12 years to figure out, to understand the Constitution. When I can read it and understand it, it's pretty easy. I say if you got to go to school that long to understand the Constitution, you're trying to figure out a way to circumvent it. And the only way the politicians can circumvent the Constitution is if we, the people, allow it. I mean, are you honestly anybody going to sit there and listen to a beta male politician tell you that he can take your rights away? Suspend your rights? And it's another thing. Even a career politician, what's in there? Oh, I guess Joe Biden was in there, for 2.5 generations or whatever? And then what? They're making all these this is bullshit. They can't do this. Completely unconstitutional, okay? The only reason our government has authority is because they promised us protection, freedom, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Ensure the safety of our borders and our money supply. That's the only reason we gave them authority. And that's why they added the Bill of Rights to the Constitution. It wasn't in there at first. They added it to it because the people that signed off on the Constitution want a little bit extra security in case our government went rogue. And basically, and this is what it says in the preamble of the Bill of Rights. Basically, it says when your government starts infringing on these 10 amendments, it's time to enact the Declaration of Independence. Do you think we're there? I mean, they go to college all these years and they don't know what shall not be infringed means. That means any law, any type of gun control law, and I know this is going to piss some people off, but even for convicts, is unconstitutional. Aren't convicts supposed to be rehabilitated when they get out of prison? Don't they have a right to protect themselves too? This is the thing about rights. It's a double-edged sword. Our government has sat there and convinced people that there's restrictions. We got restrictions on all of our first 10 amendments. All of them. Restricted in some way, shape, form, or another. And yet we do nothing. Nothing. And now we got politicians flat out there saying, yep, Tim Kaine. Oh, who was he? Oh, yeah, he would have been the vice presidential candidate with Hillary Clinton when she was running for president. Well, like you say, they're all politicians. It doesn't matter. Any mega person can sit there and justify what Trump is doing and be all happy for it. Well, that's good because we're going to have a Democratic. All you Democrats should be bide your time. Why go protest? Just let Trump keep sticking it to the American people. So most conservatives won't even come out and vote. And in 3 years and 5 months, you'll have the White House. And then you can put troops everywhere in the country if you want. Then I love to see Mega on my platform, them bitching about it. And I go, well, you know what's good for the gander? It's good for the goose. They can't see the Pandora's box they're opening up. This is what happens when you don't follow the Constitution. All right? Just like Trump changing the Department of Defense to the Department of War without Congress doing it. He just did it. Well, Congress will come around. You see, every little act he does like this where Congress does nothing, it's bitch slapping the beta males in Congress and taking more power from them. Okay? If we have an election in 3 years, Congress will be basically dissolved, or we'll have it for a tradition. It'll be like the Reichstag. There ain't going to be no power in it. It'll just be a body that agrees with everything the president says. I hate to say it, but the similarities that went on in Nazi Germany with the transgender, you can watch my video, I did that, with the liberalism and the sexuality of that side and how it pissed off the Germans and their culture, where they sat there and voted for a crazy man because they didn't want to deal with fucking insane people in their country anymore. Ring a bell? And then a man who was a narcissist and just took it to the next level. And as long as Trump has one person saying, sounds good to me, Mr. Prez, I'm behind it, he thinks he can do it. I mean, don't our politicians realize that they have rules, more rules than us? And this thing, if they break the rules, they are caught, which they've all have. I mean, Epstein, the E-list, if that ever got released and the people got arrested, that would just start a snowball going down a hill that would expose so much about Washington, D.C. Like you say, in the Constitution, it says that Congress is supposed to release to the public, to the taxpayers, every once in a while, and that's how it says in the Constitution. Wait, it says that. On all public money, taxes are spent. All of them. We don't need a Doge. They need to release it to the American public. By the Constitution, it says that. And then they bring in Doge. Does anybody even know what it says anymore? I know our politicians don't. Especially when you got them flat out saying now, hey, guess what? Rights are granted from the government. We have all power over you. No, we don't need them anymore. 1, 2, 3, 4. I already see. This is the thing. I made a flag burning, right? It's like I'm against flag burning. Of course, I'm a Marine. I'm dead set against it. But you know what? That's their First Amendment right. Sorry to say. But why are they burning the flag? Not because of what you're doing or what I'm doing. We go to work every day, do our shit. It's because of what the politicians are doing. So to solve the flag burning issue, we just get rid of the politicians. And then we'll enforce the laws, and we can have illegals in here. And the thing is, if an American does burn a flag, they need to be shamed. Shamed by their community. Shamed. Every time they go to town, they get shamed. Anyway. But yeah, it's crazy. I just can't believe I have to listen to politicians say this stuff these days. I mean, if you would have said this back even 100 years ago. But let's go back to, I don't know, the election of 1800. That was between Thomas Jefferson and John Adams, I believe, if I'm correct. I believe I'm correct. Anyway, could you imagine one of those candidates saying at that time that the government grants you your rights, and we're not here to protect your God-given rights so you can enjoy them? Can you imagine what would have happened to a politician back then? This is when people say, oh, we're still free today. Compared to what? Compared to what? We're not even as free as we were a year ago. But let's go back to 1789. Are we as free as we were back then? Nope, not even close. They would not be here breathing. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed something. I want my money back. They stole it. I tell you what, when we get our country back, people, we're not going to get no money back. We're going to have to pay off this country's debt. Okay, this country ain't gonna. Politicians need to be held accountable, and all their assets need to be confiscated, liquidated, and used against the debt that they created. Every last politician, CEO, CEOs of like this social media platform that have conspired with the government against the American people, all of it confiscated. Every last penny. In fact, wasn't it Donald Trump in his first term that made an executive order? He made an executive order where that can happen. I believe he did. But yeah, and then we downsize the government to 4 secretaries, Secretary of State, I like the Secretary of War. You know why? Because that means when we're not having a declared war in this country, we need to go down to a peacetime military budget, which isn't over $1 trillion. Go down to a peacetime military, size of a military. Yeah, there'd be good things in the Department of War, but see, we're at war, right? Anyway, bunch of shit. The thing is, I just don't like the way he did it. You can't sit there and circumvent Congress, and Congress is just going to allow it to fly. I mean, what's the purpose of Congress? Hell, they took the whole month of August off, remember? Because they didn't want to have to vote on releasing the hoax. And then they went to the Whaley Wall and Anyway, hey, if you like the content of this channel, please hit the thumbs up, the subscribe, and the bell notification so you can sit there and watch all my ramblings and stuff. YouTube's really cracking down hard, I tell you what. They hate my channel. They hate it so bad. I mean, when you got subscribers that can't even find your channel. And I dealt with this with other creators that I used to watch before I was a creator, where you type in their channel and it wouldn't come up. People have typed in my channel and can't find me. But don't worry. I'm sure it's got nothing to do with censorship. But when the truth comes out, like I say, violating a person's constitutional rights, no matter how rich you are, is a crime. Okay? Oh, they hate the truth. They hate the truth. And believe me, my shorts, it stresses them out. But see, I'm going to keep hitting them with the truth. How did I have to grow up? Listening to the truth. Nobody ever sugar-coated anything I ever needed to be told. We were told, we don't care about your feelings. All that shit. Anyway, yeah, the world's a different place. The world's changed so much. I mean, if a politician, can you imagine Ronald Reagan running for office and saying that the government grants you your rights? They're not God-given rights. Oh, my Lord. Oh, my Lord. See, I remember the election of 1984, where Ronald Reagan won every single state except Minnesota. And the reason I know that, because I lived in Minnesota, and he was running against Walter Dumbass Mondale, and he won the District of Columbia. District of Columbia has been voting Democrat for a long time. So he won every state, basically, except Minnesota. Crazy time. Landslide. That's what we need again. People have been sleeping. Oh, I know, Dustin. I'm trying to wake them up. I think I want to do a live stream once where I'm just playing cards, playing solitaire, right? Talking and stuff, watching the chat, playing solitaire with the title, playing cards till people catch up. I don't know what it's going to take for some people. Okay, me being a free, independent-minded individual, being a Marine, growing up poor, it opens your eyes. But I can't believe people are falling for this shit. I really can't. They're happy to see troops in the street. And these are the same people that if Biden would have done it, I'd be bitching too. So would they. But since they're complaining that Trump did it, Mega hates me. Fucking hates me. I'm a constitutional conservative. So obviously I don't like either party. George Washington didn't like political parties because he said it just divides the people. But now we got two political parties that are the wings of the same bird that are working together to extort, screw over, and enslave us. People have been so divided. I know, Dustin, completely divided. And they can't see it. But when times get really tough, okay? Like the military in these towns. How long is it before we're going to have a Boston Massacre type situation? Whether it be in Chicago or Baltimore or New York or LA. When are we going to have our first Boston Massacre? Now, Boston Massacre, the colonists were fucking pelting these soldiers. In a way, the soldiers were defending themselves. John Adams defended them, and basically got them off. But the people are pissed. They were pissed back then. And what's going to happen when a group of 10 of these ICE agents or federal agents or military people get surrounded by a group of 1,000 people? What are they going to do when they know they got to shoot their way out of there? That's coming, people. That is coming. Then what's Trump going to say? I just, when I was in the Marine Corps, we were never, ever trained to fight civilians in our country. Nobody would ever thought of training us Marines to do that. It was not part. You were taught to fight the enemy. But then again, how does the government look at us? Like the enemy. We're not even allowed to speak. This guy who has a little over 1,000 subscribers finally fought. To get your opinion out is hard. Censorship under Biden was bad. Censorship under Trump has gotten worse because now Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg and all these Bill Gates was just at the White House. Why don't they send him to Russia so he can be put on trial with Fauci? They're all on the same side. You got YouTube and Facebook and stuff covering for Trump now. But don't forget, Mark Zuckerberg gave Trump $1 million for his inauguration party. How much fucking money do you need for a goddamn party? $1 million, and that was just part of it? And these people want to say they understand us? Are you kidding me? You're throwing, what was the party? $100 million? We're supposed to understand that? Spend more money on a party. Just what Mark Zuckerberg gave them than most people will earn in their lifetime. For one night. And they want to sit there and preach, we understand you. You guys don't need guns. Our people need guns so they can protect us because we're so important. Oh, they don't understand our country at all. They have no clue. The Constitution was forged after a revolutionary war against the government that was really mean to colonists. And they fought the most powerful nation in the world with France's help and won. And you got to take the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and all that in that context. Not now, where everybody's spoiled living on social services. Everybody think hunting's for hunting, even home invasion. Okay, if it's for that, then why did Thomas Jefferson say the tree of liberty needs to be watered with the blood of tyrants and patriots every 20 years? I don't think he was talking about home invasion. Does that sound like home invasion? It sounds like government intrusion. Tyrannical fucking bullshit. What's your biggest concern about Trump? I'm a student of history, okay? And we are paralleling. I mean, okay, they're opening up another immigration detention facility. The way he trolls the other side pisses me off. He acts like a damn bully on a elementary playground, surrounded by his Praetorians saying, I can do what the hell ever I want. That's one thing that bothers me. Okay, he's broken all of his promises. No, it's a hoax, the E-list. Like I said, I've been on 25 minutes. How many kids around the world have been abducted, thrown in the van so bad things can happen to them because it's a hoax? Just in these 25 minutes. Sick stuff. But as a student of history, and if you watch some of my last live streams, like the one with how liberalism and their sexual behavior helped Hitler's rise to power, it mirrors what's going on in this country so bad. Like I say, the Germans were so fucking tired of that shit that they not elected, okay, he lost the presidency when he ran for president, but just a little bit, but they, made him chancellor. But they were willing to support a crazy man because they were sick of dealing with the insanity. Sound familiar? And then 2 months later, after he got chancellor, they had the first concentration. Well, a month later, he had the Reichstag start on fire, so he could emergency powers. And then less than 2 months later, about 2 months later, he had Dachau, the first concentration camp. And we got troops in the streets. I mean, this is beyond stupid. When is America going to wake up? It's the entire system, yeah. And the thing is, look at what they're dealing with in England. I mean, that little 14-year-old girl, hats off to her, goddamn right. That Scottish girl, calling her Braveheart and shit. Yeah. Is that what it's going to take for a 14-year-old girl to stand up so the adults can finally grow some balls and do something? And all I got to say about that 14-year-old girl that was carrying that hatchet and knife in Scotland, she must have obviously had problems before to feel she needed to carry that. This obviously wasn't the first instant that she had to deal with these people. This is the first time she had to. You know what? Good. I wish he would have came after her so she could have sat there and planted that hatchet right in the center of his chest. But anyway, look at what they're dealing with. They can't, their own culture's being collapsed. I mean, this is the thing, right? All us white people are so bad. All us white people are so fucking backwards. All us white people, this, that, and the other thing. But all these other nationalities and colors come to white-dominated countries to live a better life. But see, they're dumb. They're escaping their hellhole to sit there and give freebies. I mean, they don't understand nothing. They're not civilized people, a lot of them are. Okay, countries that allow this shit in, and when the dominoes start falling, whether it be in Britain, France, Germany, Poland got their head out of their ass and they ain't dealing with this shit, or the United States, or Canada. When one goes, the dominoes will start falling. When civil war starts in one of the countries, it's going to be a progression till it starts in all the countries. Just a heads up to you politicians, okay? When the United States citizen gets pissed off enough to do something about this shit, when you finally push enough people and people wake up, there ain't going to be nothing coming to your rescue, politicians. Okay, all you beta male politicians. And like I say, death is too good for them. No. No death for these pricks. We make a prison around the mountain. A small mountain. These big, anyway, I got it all in my head. Build prison around them. Give them the best medical, the best food, nice cushy bed to sleep in. and make them sit there and pound boulders, that mountain, into sand with a tack hammer, 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, rain or shine, no sunscreen, nothing. And if they finally had enough, put them in a room with a gun and a bullet and have them mended. Easy enough for me. Vote locally. Start the changes locally. Yep. Our vote actually matters there. Yeah, but a lot of these places in the big city, out here, I live in a county that has less than 2,000 people in. Even if you're a Democrat or a Republican, you still understand the community and you don't want bad stuff coming into the community. Okay, and the community controls a lot of stuff. We had a cop they hired once came into town. All we have is 3 county mounties, the sheriff, and 1 state trooper that handles 3 counties. And one of the county mounties deputies he hired was just a prick. I didn't pull me over, but he was pulling everybody over in town, just being a prick. And they all went to the sheriff and the county prosecutor and said, he's got to go. And he was gone the next day. That's how we handle stuff here. I leave it to Beaverland, basement, okay? And somebody who came here that wants to start shit or is confused mentally is going to get help or kicked the fuck out. All right? By the way, politicians that think, I live in a constitutional carry state. I can sit there, get on my horse with my rifle sheath, my pistol on my side, ride through town, see all the cops and wave to them like that, and nothing. That's freedom, people. You know what? I really never have any problem with anybody. It's amazing. Crime would go down big time. If gun control works, then how come we got troops in D.C. and Chicago and Baltimore fighting crime if gun control works? Well, the 3, I know Chicago and D.C. are definitely the top 2 gun control cities. I mean, it's just a question that I like to hear a politician answer with besides. Anyway, things are going to get bad, people. Politicians are being honest with you. Trump's got the troops out in the street, megas for that. And you got the Democrats saying that government grants us our rights and our children belong to the state. Can anybody see how this could go wrong? Can anybody see how the American citizen might not be on the receiving end of good stuff for this? Okay. How can we have these people running our country that don't understand the first basic civics, basic constitution? I'm so tired of hearing constitutional law. There's no constitutional law. There's a constitution that the government has to follow, a document that the people came up with that gave authority created the government and gave it authority to govern us, which we can take away from them at any time. And that's what it's coming down to, people. We don't have a choice anymore. I mean, what do you think 10 more years is going to bring if we don't do anything? I mean, what happens when you are not able to react like you finally got Nazi Germany, where you weren't able to defend yourself or react? Okay, you had your neighbors flat out telling on you. The Gestapo was at your door before you knew what you did wrong. Boy, I can't wait till AI really gets to all kick in. Common sense law. Yeah, common law. They don't, we learned about common law. There's, they always want to go by this case law. So we get one stupid ruling, they have a court case and a ruling goes through that's totally against the Constitution, but they can use case law and apply that so they can sit there and keep doing that with unconstitutional shit. The government they understand the Constitution. The Constitution handcuffs the government and empowers the people. Remember, even Barack Obama said on an interview about the negative, he talked about how it handcuffed the government. He didn't like it. But I guess Trump's now is like, I don't give a shit. I got mega saying I'm Jesus Christ. Hey, let's go for it. Another correlation with Germany in the 1930s. What am I afraid of? Well, like I say, Hitler had to conquer Germany first before he could start conquering the world. And we're sending troops in our cities and they're not leaving. So what's that mean? All he's got to do is control communication and transportation. Every time you get on a train, you got to go by a military checkpoint. Every single time you get on a plane, military checkpoint. Every time you make a telephone call, you got to go through a government operator. Okay? Get an actual book of the Constitution and Black's Law Dictionary. People, the Constitution's easy. You don't even have to get a copy. Go to YouTube and say U.S. Constitution. Boom, comes up, and listen to it. That's all you got to do. You ain't got to read the damn thing anymore. You listen to it. People won't even do that because they'll believe what their politician tells them. I mean, there are people out there say, yeah, the government grants us our rights. They're stupid enough to think that. And even as the government's taking them from them. Like I say, all of our first 10 Amendment rights have been infringed upon, okay? And the American people still put up with it. And then let's not forget, the IRS is illegal, the Federal Reserve is illegal, the FBI is illegal, the ATF is illegal, the CIA is, unconstitutional. All these are unconstitutional. Every last one. All this, no foreign entanglements, and we're paying. Hey, Ukraine, you can keep fighting your war. Don't worry about it. We'll just keep supplying it. How would you like to be an 18-year-old young guy in Ukraine right now? You might make it to 18 years and 3 months. Crazy. How long do you think it's going to be before it's our boys? That's one way they'll get rid of young, conservative-minded individuals. Is just drafting. Do you think they're going to be drafting minorities like they did in Vietnam this time? No. They need to get rid of their enemy. And then when they get rid of us and take control, then they'll get rid of the useful idiots that helped them out. But this is what we're in store for. Anyway. Hey, if you like the channel, I appreciate everybody being here. Please hit the thumbs up, the subscribe, and the bell notification, because YouTube's being really tough on me. They don't want the truth coming out. They don't want this simple little humble guy who's sitting out here in the panhandle of Nebraska giving his opinion, because the last thing they want is a Republican and a real Democrat and a real conservative. Conservatives. There's conservatives on both sides. There's constitutional conservatives on both sides. They don't want us coming together and talking and agreeing and getting along. Maybe not getting along, but realize, hey, everybody's listening to the band play as the Titanic sinking, but I see it sinking. What do you think we should do so we can better our chances? Okay? We do have a much larger country now than when the Constitution was established, so I don't understand the need for taxes, but they've gone way too far. This is the thing. Let me tell you, Nicole, this is my tax plan. This is how they can do federal taxes and people will make more money. And you'd be like, how the hell is that possible? Easy. They go to a 10% federal sales tax. Get rid of the IRS completely. Your pay is between you and your boss. So if you work in a bigger company, just think of all the money he gets to save by getting rid of the accounting department that deals with the government, the IRS, workman's comp, all this shit. Well, you might still want workman's comp, but all the IRS shit. Plus, okay, all that money's going to save. And then he don't have to give 7.5%, I think it's still that, to the government on the amount you owe, okay? So he's saving 7.5% right there, plus the money that he don't have to deal with, or she, with the IRS. So right there is a 10 to 15% raise overnight. Plus, not only a raise, you get your whole frickin' paycheck. So that's like a double raise. And if you pay a lot of taxes, wow. And then you have a 10% federal sales tax. Well, you just got to keep your whole paycheck. You just got a 15% raise. And then as long as, you know, people that spend a lot of money, you're going to pay a lot more taxes. People like me are going to pay, maybe $150 or $100 a month in taxes. But see, that would benefit the little guy like me and you. Use tariff for taxes. No one pays Fed tax, period. Like I'm telling you how to get rid of the IRS. And if they went, see, this is the thing. We go to a 10% sales tax, right? Federal sales tax. But this is another thing the American public demands and expects and makes the government do, like every other household does. You live within your budget. If the government can't afford it, it doesn't do it. If the government can't afford it, it doesn't have the permission to sit there and tax shit out of the citizen to get it. Problem solved. More money in your pocket. I mean, what could you do with an extra $500 a month? My suggestion is save it and put it into something, until cash, the dollar bill becomes worth something again. Cash is kind of a scary thing, but you're going to, and then, you know what, Trump, I said, yeah, the government's making a lot of money right now. You people may not notice it. Really, Trump? You don't think we don't notice it? No shit, because you're taxing the shit out of us. I'm glad the government's doing good. And now, oh yeah, that's right. Now the government owns 10% of Intel too. The Intel CEO just decided to go to the Oval Office and say, what's up, buddy Trump? Here's 10% of my company I'm going to give to the federal government just because I'm a nice guy. Don't the shareholders have to vote on that? I mean, I think that would be something they'd have to vote on. And he still has a job. And then Trump, I just made the government $11 billion. And then a reporter talked about these reporters are cracking me up. They're actually doing good. Well, are you going to give anybody back to the people? Well, we may think about giving them a dividend check. And that's, and then the reporter asked him about owning 10% of Intel. Isn't that kind of communism? Well, yeah, it's just the way it's going to be from now on. So how many other CEOs got to march through the Oval Office? And this is what I'm saying. In the Constitution, it says they must tell us on how this money is spent. We don't need a Department of Government Efficiency. Orders in the Constitution to the government to release it to the American citizen. And $38 trillion in debt. If we knew how that was, if they had to expose how that was all spent, I guarantee you, before it was let out, every politician in D.C. would have skipped the country. See, this is the thing. To solve the problem, all we have to do is enforce the Constitution. That's it. That is it. It's going to expose all the criminal acts. We get to figure out how the money was spent. All the crime is going to come out wide open. And like I say, then we just confiscate the assets of all the guilty people in this country, which would well be over trillions of dollars. Just like that executive order you signed in your first term, Trump. Yeah, I do remember that executive order, where the government has the right to confiscate everything from somebody who's basically deemed enemy of this country. So that would cover a lot of politicians. Anyway, but I'm sick of listening to these freaking beta male politicians sit there and tell me that they grant us our rights. You know what, beta? You don't grant me shit. And I may sit there and be a little bit, people, oh, you're being too masculine. No, I'm sick of it. I'm not an alpha male, I'm a sigma male. But when sigma males are usually quiet, passive people, and I have been for years, and I've had enough, because that's not solving the problem. I'm a lone wolf, but I've had enough. I got kids and I got grandkids that are having to deal with this shit. I got a grandson that has to go to school with a litter box in his room because somebody thinks there's a furry. Oh, that's right. The girlfriend of the Minnesota Massacre piece of shit. She was a furry too. And then he... God, can we just start treating mental illness again? Can we just start treating crazy people like the crazy? My children homeschool. That's very good. We homeschooled our kids for 2 years. My youngest daughters. They were just, school was shit. And they weren't really getting that good of grades, to be honest with you. I don't think they really knew nothing. And we homeschooled, was able to homeschool for 2 years. And I don't even want to tell you what I went through with that. The paperwork sat on this state lady's desk and the school district's getting on me saying they're going to have me arrested. Ooh, I went the fuck off. Just because some state lady took a vacation and didn't do her work. Like I say, when does a government employee ever become responsible for their actions? By the way, after that 2 years, and they went back, they finished out their junior and senior year in school. They did great. They exceptionally well. Exceptionally well. But then again, school isn't about education like it was when we went through. It's about indoctrination. Okay, and that's what it's about. I mean, you got teachers that are dumb. Okay? They've been trained to regurgitate stuff and just take orders. Not like the teachers we had that, I had teachers before the Department of Education that had a lesson plan and taught it, wrote their own tests. And like I say, my 4th grade education I got is equivalent to a high school diploma now. Isn't that crazy? But don't worry, it's not the kids' fault. It's really not. Those kids in these generations were just as smart as our generations. They weren't challenged or taught. Okay? Everything, oh, you're hurting? Oh, can we make it a little easier on you? Do you think we heard that shit? Schools and college too. Oh, yeah, can you imagine a college professor? Okay. Kids these days don't know who we won our independence from, and I've asked graduating classes for 15 years. They don't know. Nobody's answered it right yet. They always say France. Okay. This one place I worked at, there was this high school kid. In summer, she was going to go be a teacher. She couldn't do math. Her handwriting was atrocious. She looked like a 1st grader, and she was going to go to school to be a teacher. How do these math professors deal with kids that can't even add 2 plus 2 in their college math courses? If you can't do your division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction in your head up to high numbers, if you can't do that in your head, boom, it's there. You can't do advanced math. You can't do it. Because advanced math, they figured you got past that point, okay? And the equation, it just, whatever. When I was going to school, I had a few arguments with the superintendent and principal at times, right? But when my kids were in school, I had a lot more arguments with principals and superintendents. Can you do advanced math? Yes, I got. If I always say if letters were ones and zeros, I would have aced English too. But anyway, you know, yeah, and then I got secondary education too. But um, anyway, I was just one that, I like learning shit, but I do got my degree in electronics. In electronics, there's a lot of math. Okay, but I always took I took physics, calculus, algebra 1, 2, calculus, physics, geometry, chemistry, biology. I took all the advanced classes when I was in school. I always made sure I had a study hall, so I never had to take homework home. School was easy for me. I could have one study hall. Most of them study halls, I was able to do my homework in class, so I usually went lifting weights, and I always made sure I was industrial arts. So I like, industrial arts was cool. Not only making stuff, and I took metal shop and stuff, but I can't remember if it was 9th or 10th grade. It must have probably 10th grade. Might have been 9th, where the first quarter we had to make house plans, where we taught how to make house plans. And I mean, even the outside house plans, okay? Yeah, so I can sit there, if I want to build a house, I can sit there and make the plans myself. Well, that's a nice thing, isn't it? I mean, with the stencils and everything, and scale and everything, drawing board and the whole damn works, I can make house plans. That's the type of education we used to get. Anyway, you were gifted and talented. The thing is, I just love learning, okay? Like, I have too many hobbies. Like this winter when the snow falls, I get to pound on the old keys again, because I have too much stuff during the summertime. But when I'm stuck inside the wintertime, I'll be playing piano. I'm not going to be happy till I am Beethoven. There's no sense on doing anything half-assed. If you can do it 100%. But that's something I do in the wintertime, pound on the old keys. So maybe we'll get to where I'll do that, make a video on that anyway. But just something I like. I always loved music. I was in choir and band in school too. That was other things I was in. And I always wanted to learn to play piano, and I never got the chance. My parents wouldn't buy a piano, and when I got as an adult, I finally was able to I knew how to read music and everything, so it was easy. I just had to sit there and get the motor skills. And the thing is, playing one instrument is one note at a time. Piano's a little different, 6 to 7 notes at a time and stuff. Stretching your fingers, but it's, I practice when I get obsessed with something. I mean, I practice for hours and hours. I went through 2 years of piano lessons in 9 months. That's how fast I went through. But I just pounded on the keys and practiced, and the family just, can you stop? Like I say, don't get between a Marine and his mission. Okay, my mission was to learn piano, and I did. And that's one thing where you go back at it, you don't get to play for a while. It's not like riding a bike, but it comes quick anyway. Cool. What department? 21 years. I'm sorry, guys, I've been missing the chat. Department of Homeland Security. Anyway. But yep, that's. Am I going to have to ask permission from the government then to have a piano in my house? Am I going to have to ask for my hobbies if they can control our rights? I guess they can grant us our pursuit of happiness, right? I'm telling you, it's time to end this shit with these freaking morons in charge. I know a lot of Democrats are upset right now, but Trump told me he don't need me no more because I believe the list exists. I've been brainwashed and stuff, even though they talked about it through the campaign. Democrats never talked about it, but since he talked about it, but Mega said he never said anything about it. Oh my God, I could say worse than the Democrats. Anyway, but like I say, they got 25% on their side, they got 25% on their side, and we got the 50% in the damn middle. We're the majority. Don't let the minority. See, this is one thing Hitler did too. He made it seem like the screaming minority was the majority. Now, I'm not calling Trump Hitler, but you know what? Trump, you sure are acting like you want to be a tyrant and control freak. Okay? I'll just leave it at that. And if you're going to let a senator sit there and say that about the government grants us our rights, and you're not going to get tweet or put on social media saying, that guy's an idiot, I don't believe that way. Besides, can't wait to see what cities the troops go into next. Probably New York and probably Seattle or Portland. That's what I'd say. New York and Seattle or Portland. We'll see. But like I said, DC was just a way for them to figure out their blueprint on how they were going to do it. They did all this stuff, got together, had a big old brainstorming meeting, critiqued everything, figured it out, and then they moved out into Chicago and Baltimore. Troops in the street, people. And the government grants us our rights, and our children are property of the state. I know what the Declaration of Independence says, and you're infringing on my rights, government. Okay? We, as the American people, grant you the authority to govern us. We grant you that authority. And we can snatch the hell away from you whenever we deem it's necessary. Anybody think it's necessary now? I do. MD, not within, okay. Sorry I'm missing. One thing about my live stream, I'll be honest with you guys, I don't really watch it. I notice we don't have any problems in here tonight. Sometimes YouTube's really cut back, but you get these trolls in here sometimes that these people that are trolls, I mean, they ain't gonna last 2 days when stuff gets nuts. And they can't even see their lives in danger. They're so yacked up and, I'm going to sit there and say the dumbest thing in this chat, get people upset. They don't even realize it's just a matter of time for them. Crazy time, people. Anyway, I got 58 minutes. Hey, if you want to help support the channel, please hit the thumbs up, the subscribe, and the bell notification. The channel needs all the help it can get. And because YouTube's, like I say, they don't like me very much. And when my subscribers, even at time, I sit there and I watch my view count go backwards. Actually go backwards, okay? Just, like I say, when we take our country back and all this evidence comes out, I don't care if they're hiding in a bunker in the Antarctic or New Zealand. They're going to be brought back to this country and tried and put in that camp and given a tack hammer and sit there and break Bold Mountain into dust. These people need to be punished on this earth. Death is too good for them. These people need to be punished on this earth before they go to hell and are punished. Okay? Increase standard education. Need to get rid of the Department of Education. When I went to school, #1 education in the world. That was by the standards back in the 1970s and 80s. Okay? Now we're 33rd, 34th, maybe 36th by the standard, by today's standards. So that means that, anyway, it's ridiculous. And how much, and then they say, all we need is more money to make it better. All we need is more computers. No. The kids aren't learning. Plus, they're all on drugs. Got all these mind-altering medications they're on when their brain is developing. Thank God we didn't have such diseases when I was growing up, or they would have tried to throw me at every pill there was, because I was kind of a impossible child at times. I made my teachers earn every penny, and they did a good job because they cared about me after I graduated. Okay, they wanted to make sure I had a future, no matter how much of a, but the thing is, the teachers all love me. I don't understand it. But eventually I gave in, and my junior and senior is a really nice kid. Was very respectful, but but they taught me. Okay? And we had discipline back then. I tell my kids, watch Little House on the Prairie. I said, that's the way it was when I was in school. Teachers came in, everybody came in class, sat down. Nobody was in groups talking because you only had 3 minutes between class. And if you had to shoot from one end of the building to the next, you sat down in the chair, teacher came in, and we had lessons. And he taught us. And we had discussions. And everybody had the teacher's undivided attention. That's one thing we definitely don't have in the classrooms today. Anyway, but yeah, the time's coming, people, where, I always say this channel is about getting a well-regulated militia together. Since I'm part of it, I think it'd be a good thing to do. And show these politicians that, no, we grant you the authority, fool, and it's time we take it away. If we were to sit there, the people were to rise up against our government and go up to them and say, you guys are out of here. Get out. Now. You leave the country, we'll leave you alone. Get out. Do you think they would leave, or they would fight us? See, we're only going to have to fight if the government refuses to relinquish the authority that the American people give it. If they don't want to relinquish that authority, then there's going to be a fight brought on by our government. And don't worry, government, you ain't going to have all those military weapons, because all those vets you created through the 35 years of war we had, we can run the tanks, do the infantry, fly the planes, load the bombs, drive the trucks, everything. And we know what we got between our legs. The biggest military in the world is all us vets in the civilian world. And I know that wears heavy on the government's mind. So, can't wait to see what happens, huh? Whoever thought at my age, after serving my country overseas, that when I got in my older years that I'd be fighting for truth, liberty, and the American way, the Constitution in my own country, from our tyrannical government, from our government that got hijacked. Okay? What are you going to do, Israel, when you ain't got us as your pawn anymore? Anyway, that's all I got for tonight. We'll see if I got a few views, a few subscribers tonight. YouTube, I tell you what, they hate me. Good. I wasn't put on this earth to make a computer algorithm or somebody that a tyrant happy. Wasn't my purpose. But anyway, everybody have a great night. Glad to see you. And this is Tom with Hidden Truths. I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Talk to you later. Bye.